There are moments in this journey where hope stops feeling exciting and starts feeling like pressure. And for me, that moment started with Clement. Hi everyone. Welcome back to our silent journey. This week, I want to talk about the beginning of my treatment. But more than that, I want to talk about what it actually felt like. Because starting treatment wasn't just a step forward. It was the beginning of everything changing. After my surgery, I was told that once I was ready, I could get started with treatment. So I went home and I waited. Waited for my cycle. Waited for that moment where everything would finally begin. And when my period started, I made the call to the clinic. And just like that, everything became real. They scheduled me for a baseline appointment to make sure I didn't have any cysts, anything that could prevent the Clomid from working. But before that appointment, I made the mistake of Googling. I looked up the medication, what it did, how it worked. And that's when I found out. Most providers only let you use it for about 6 months. Six tries. Six chances to get it right. And I remember the pressure that put on me. Praying it would work. Hoping we wouldn't have to move on to something more. Because suddenly, it didn't feel like a process anymore. It felt like a countdown. I remember walking in to that clinic that day, and the waiting room felt different, colder, quieter, almost empty. When they called me back, I felt nervous, hoping my body was doing what it needed to, and nothing it shouldn't be. When they asked me to get undressed from the waist down, I remember feeling so vulnerable, especially being on my period. I just felt exposed. And that's something people don't talk about enough. How invasive this process can feel, even from the very beginning. But everything came back clear. No cysts. I was ready to start. I remember leaving that appointment thinking, this could actually work. But once I started Clement, everything began to shift. Within just a couple of days, I didn't feel like myself anymore. My emotions were everywhere. Anger, sadness, frustration. And I remember one moment so clearly. I was at work with my husband, just trying to spend time together. And I was sitting on the floor, organizing bread, when someone came up and kicked the tray I was working on. And something in me just snapped. I stood up, ready to react. And my husband had to run over and stop me. Because in that moment, I had lost control. And I remember thinking, how am I supposed to go through this? But at the same time, I wanted to be a mom more than anything. So I kept going. At first, there was still hope. When I went back in for monitoring, everything looked perfect. I had 6 follicles, all growing exactly how they were supposed to. And I was so excited. Honestly, I was naive. I thought, there's no way this doesn't work. I even remember thinking, maybe we'll get twins. They gave me options: timed intercourse or IUI. And I chose the least invasive option because I thought, why not try the simplest way first? And when they told me I had a really high chance, I believed it. But somewhere in all of that hope, things started to change. What used to feel natural became scheduled, timed, controlled. We had a window, 24 to 48 hours, to make it work. And something that used to feel so normal started to feel like pressure, like a task, like something we had to do, or everything we had just gone through would be for nothing. Then came the wait. Two weeks that felt like months. Every symptom felt like a sign. Every feeling meant something. And when I went in for my blood draw, I was hopeful. I really believed it worked. Until I got the call. And I heard the words, "I'm sorry, but your levels are below the 5.0. And just like that, everything crashed. Because how could everything look so perfect and still not work? And it wasn't just affecting me anymore. It started affecting us. The pressure, the timing, the emotions. It all started building. We were arguing more, feeling disconnected. Trying to force something that wasn't coming naturally anymore. And instead of bringing us closer, it started to pull us apart. Until one moment, he pulled me in and said, "No matter what, it's me and you." And I broke. Because he was right. We were losing ourselves in the process. And that's when I knew. Something had to change. I couldn't keep doing this like that. Not at the cost of myself or us. So I made the decision to take a break. To step away from the medication, from the pressure, from feeling like I was constantly failing. And for the first time in months, I could breathe again. During that break, we found each other again. We went on dates. We laughed. We planned our wedding. And focused on us. But then, life reminded me again how complicated this journey really is. Because I already knew. She had told us before she even posted anything. So it wasn't news to me. And I remember being so happy for my sister-in-law when she told me. Genuinely happy. But then I saw the videos she posted. I was just scrolling on my phone, not thinking anything of it. And her announcement video came up. And my heart just dropped. And that's what confused me the most. Because I already knew. I had already felt happy for her. So why did seeing it like that hit me so differently. I remember watching it over and over again. Just sitting there with my phone in my hand. Trying to understand what I was feeling. Because I was still happy for her. She was going to be such a good mom. But at the same time, this wave of sadness hit me that I wasn't prepared for. And it wasn't jealousy in the way people think. It was more like a reminder of everything I was still waiting for. Of everything I had just gone through. And still didn't have. And I remember just sitting there, holding my phone, feeling both things at the same time. So happy for someone I love. And completely heartbroken for myself. And that's something I wish more people talked about. Both can exist. And feeling that way doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human. They don't tell you how hope turns into pressure. How love can feel strained. How something so deeply wanted can make you question yourself. But they also don't tell you how strong you become through it. Sometimes choosing to pause is the strongest thing you can do. Next week, we'll talk about going back to the clinic. In the beginning of my IUI journey. Thank you so much for being here and listening. I'll talk to you next week.